listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Central Hudson reminds you, when you're doing yard work, safety matters. If you use a ladder, be aware of overhead electric lines, including the service wire that runs to your house. Even wooden ladders can conduct electricity with dangerous results. And be very careful if there are electric lines above or near a swimming pool, and you're working with skimmers, brooms, or other long-handled tools. Central Hudson wishes you a safe summer.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Jackie Lovezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support the Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This programming is brought to you by the Friends of Kevin Cahill. As a strong advocate of local broadcasting, Assemblymember Cahill urges you to support Kingston Community Radio with your time and donations. Your contributions keep KCR vital and on the air at FM 92.5, AM 920, and on the web at mykcr.org. Please join Assemblymember Cahill and send your gifts of $10, $25, or more to Kingston Community Radio, Post Office Box 4364, Kingston, New York 12402. Together, let's keep KCR alive.
All right, folks, here we are. It's Thunder Thursday. I don't have the voice. I don't have the chops today.
Oh, no.
I don't have the chops.
Thunder Thursday.
There you go. That's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, well, it takes practice. First time.
Yeah.
Go easy on me.
I'm going to go easy on you, Guy Greco, and you better go easy on me.
I don't know what that means. What happened to your voice? You should tell the people what happened to your voice.
Well, it's the last day of my district governor job for Rotary was yesterday, and I've been just on a 2-week tear of just speech after speech after speech after speech. Coming back, actually, it's but feel great. It's.
I didn't realize you gave so many speeches. You like that? Some people are terrified to do that.
No, I could give a speech in my sleep.
It's not how I thought you were going to end that sentence.
Yeah.
Not the sleep part, the speech part.
The speech part. Yeah, no. That's but look, I've been doing that since I was CEO of Kingston Hospital in 1994. So I had to get up in front of people all the time.
Yeah.
No problem.
No
problem. It's like breathing for me.
Now, when you were, and I shouldn't do this, but I might as well. Did you wear socks when you were CEO at the hospital?
Back then, you had to wear socks because.
No, you're the CEO. You didn't have to wear socks.
You didn't have to. Yeah, but I mean, they would think that you were, poor or something.
Well, the reason I bring this up.
Yes, I do.
You started this thing about Wayne and no socks.
Right.
It's a thing. It's developed into a thing.
Has it spread in the credit union? Is anybody else
it's spread? It's sweeping the nation, as it turns out. Yeah. One of our listeners is Kathy's husband. Kathy, that is the executive secretary at MHV. Don
Spada.
Previous position.
Yeah.
And Kathy's husband said he was listening to the radio at work. Mm-hmm. And the next thing he knew, they were talking about Wayne Winkler's feet.
Nice.
He said the DJ, that would be you.
Nice,
Certainly
nice.
He's not going to mistake me for a DJ.
Yeah.
So Wayne kind of came and got me to hear this. 'Cause he wants me to know that people are listening.
Great.
Now, I want to say that I didn't bring up the fact he wears no socks. That was you. And second, I want to say as a heterosexual male.
Right.
That he's got some fine-looking ankles. There's no hair on them.
How about calves? How's the calves?
I didn't see the calves. He wears pants, Tony. He just doesn't wear socks. And he wears the type of shoes that you don't have to wear socks with.
Right.
I can only assume that because I've never had $600 or $800 shoes. But I assume at those prices you could do what you want. They might be more than that.
If you look in the fashion, any of the fashion, whatever magazines, online stuff, it's always guys, no socks.
Now, maybe Lawrence can help us with this if you don't know, and you may know. One of the mafia family of dons that walked around New York in a robe and bedroom slippers. You remember that guy?
That.
Yeah, Vincent the Chin.
That's right,
There
Vinny
you go.
the Chin.
Very good.
I'm not suggesting that my CEO is walking around like Vinny the Chin.
No,
he's not Wayne the Chin.
Fashion plate stuff.
It is.
I'm just going to suggest, as your counselor and friend, that you stop right here. Probably. No.
Listen, I didn't start this anyway.
No.
Wayne's a great CEO. He's got a great sense of humor, but now I think this has become his brand. Now he's becoming known.
That's
for
cool. I mean, the other thing that's happening is there's crazy socks out now. In terms of these, I have very mild socks on. This is like mild.
That's not mild.
That's pretty mild.
No, it's not mild.
Yeah, but so there's crazy.
The last
design
time I
socks.
saw socks like that, there was a Raggedy Ann attached to the top.
Yeah, right, or was part of the Wizard of Oz deal. So I have something important to tell you.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
And everybody else out there. So Tuesday night was the Ulster County Italian-American dinner, and it was up in Horse Shows in the Sun, right around the horse, I guess it's a rink where they jump over stuff, right? It's the pavilion outside. And we're setting up, and I'll tell you off the air, the person involved. We're setting up 5:30. Leanne's there. A bunch of Italian, Les Lombardi, President Les Lombardi. Everybody's working like crazy hard. There's a fella throwing wire over rafters for the speakers. A big room, big rectangular room. So or patio. So we needed 4 speakers. So guys doing that. Next thing, I'm at the other end. Just about next thing I see is a pile of people.
Pile.
A guy on the floor and my wife performing CPR on this person.
Oh my God.
Yeah. One of the guys that was setting up had some kind of cardiac event, and his
this
pulse.
was in that awful heat.
In the awful heat Tuesday night. His pulse was faint, and so she immediately started CPR on him. Leanne Marmo did, the nurse, and kept going, and she started getting tired. So the bartender, who's a former military guy, is CPR certified. He jumped in, started doing chest compressions. I'm certified too at laps, but I would have jumped in. But Ricky, the bartender, did an amazing job. By that time, Saugerties police came with the AED and shocked this individual. Did what they were supposed to do, and then. 5 minutes later, 7 minutes later, the EMTs came, shocked him again 2 or 3 times, and fortunately he survived. So
that's wonderful.
CPR,
that's really something.
CPR save for Leanne Marmo.
Yeah, that's just terrific.
She didn't hesitate. She was ran right there. The guy was, hit his head on the concrete there, patio.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing the people that were there were there.
Oh yeah,
right?
well he was fortunate. He was fortunate, because if this had happened, anywhere else where there was not a lot of people and he was setting up by himself or whatever, maybe 2 other people there, he probably would not have made it.
That's really fantastic.
57-year-old
and
male.
He's fine now.
He's stable. I took his son to Kingston Hospital. Following the ambulance. So his son was there.
So you got to know him a little bit. I mean, his name. You can...
Yeah. So kudos, shout out to Leanne for a CPR save. And, she is a nurse, but I asked her the last time she did that was in nurse training back in 1985 or 88, so she hasn't done it. Yep. Okay. Good morning, caller. You're on KCR. What's your question or comment?
Well, the comment is that thanks for sharing that story. That is the truth of what America is all about, is strangers helping other strangers.
Yes.
Yesterday, I was over a half an hour standing in line in ShopRite because the crowds were just unbelievable. A lot of older people. There was one woman who had a child, and she was a grandmother with a little child who was starting to act up a bit. Well, people said, look, I'll hold your place. You come in front of me. But if you go down to the front of the lines, way down, it's like line number 1, you might find it's easy. I'll hold your place in the meantime. Another person, people all over, peacefully waiting there, talking to each other. One person said, well, at least they're not charging us for lessons in patience.
Right.
Another one went, when they got to the cashier, said, well, thank you so much, for being patient with us in the line. I know we're giving you a hard time. People, I walked out to the parking lot, and there was an elderly woman, a grandmother.
Right.
We got to talking, and she was saying that, she was from an immigrant from Jamaica, raised a family in Newburgh, but she had to move up here because it was getting too dangerous in a neighborhood back in Newburgh. But she said, all this stuff that we're hearing about in the schools about white supremacy and all this and putting this into the minds of our children, never had that. We lived in neighborhoods where everybody was help thy neighbor.
Yes, absolutely.
When I got home, I looked, and my next-door neighbor was helping another neighbor who was handicapped and was mowing their lawn and doing it, nicely. That is what America is about, and we better start listening, people, and just start saying, no, we're not going to accept the hatred and the division that's being pushed on us by the media and by, various corporate organizations saying that, oh, we are a terrible country because look what we're doing, trying to divide what they call, racism, and saying that, we're all racist, and so therefore what we have to do is just to completely let the government and the politicians dictate who we are. No, look around and experience. People are, so nice to each other.
They are.
People are laughing, and what we have to do is focus on that, but also go and demand to our schools. We want our children to learn that's what the nature of America is.
Exactly.
That's why we are such a great nation.
I agree, Dr. Paul. So I have to tell you, the second person who did the CPR after Leanne was a young Jamaican male, former military. He didn't see color. He saw a person on the ground, and he immediately jumped in and stepped in. Now, this was his second CPR save, involved in the CPR save. He didn't see white or black. He just saw someone who was on the ground, and he just jumped in. Exactly your point. Exactly your point.
Yes, stop poisoning our people and stop putting, the people in dangerous neighborhoods. But look around. Just open your eyes and see there's a softness, there's a beauty of people helping each other.
Absolutely.
That's who we are, and that's what we have to share with our children and demand that that's what our schools need to teach. Yes, we are imperfect human beings. Yes, there were crimes committed about, many of us, all of us, but that is not who we define ourselves, and we define our neighbors.
Absolutely.
We are a nation of neighbors.
Absolutely.
And that, faith, family, and freedoms was our foundation. And we got to get back to emphasizing that and teaching that to our children.
Couldn't agree with you more, sir. Thank you so much. Have a great day. It was great seeing you the other day, too.
Yes.
Thanks. Be well. Be well, Dr. Paul.
To your wife.
Thanks. Bye-bye. All right. There you go, Guy Greco.
Great call.
Yeah. So, it was interesting night, our Italian organization. And I forgot a membership for you. Are you a member?
I'm not a member.
Oh, you're going to be.
Tony, what's the date on your the festival down in October?
October 10th.
October 10th. Okay,
Yes.
I got to make sure I'm not at a Giant game that weekend.
Sunday before, right? Yeah,
it's always the Sunday before. Okay,
Columbus Day, correct? Yep. Yeah.
I remember you. I think at that time you were in need, so I didn't mind. But
yeah,
you'd had me join. I paid a full membership, and 4 days later it lapsed because the calendar year had ended.
$35.
$35 for 4 days. I can't.
Really?
Do the
No,
math
that
on
shouldn't have happened.
No,
they should have charged you prorated amount.
The Giants are at the Cowboys that day. Go figure.
Oh man,
October 10th, right?
Yeah. October 10th. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about music because before we started the show today, I asked you. Everything's opening up. Live music is coming back.
To be. It sure seems to be opening up.
And what's your? I mean, because you're like
I'm for hire.
Yeah,
I'm a guitar for hire.
Wow.
So
okay.
very rarely is a band without a guitar player. There's lots of really good guitar players out there, and if they are at the last minute, there's usually a reason for that. However, I'm still for hire. I'm that guy if you need him.
Okay.
I want to put something together. I'm going to.
How many years have you been playing the lead guitar?
Right? I don't want it. A long time. A long time. I've been playing on stages for 50.
Yeah. So there's got to be.
Even when they didn't want me, I would still do it.
Yeah, and when I look at it, I see, and you're probably a whole lot more about this than I do, but I see, I'll say, guys in their 50s and 60s, more so than guys in their, not just guys, obviously, in their 30s and 40s. I don't see a whole lot of people going into live music. Am I wrong about that?
I really don't know. I don't think so. I just think that, it's kind of like tend to go where you would see that, right? I mean, you're not going to venues that are populated by really young people.
No, that's true. But I'm just saying a little bit of what Dr. Paul was saying. Our kids, our young folks, are they getting into live music? Are they picking up and say, "Hey, I want to play the guitar. I want to play the trumpet. I want to play."
Well, I think they are, but part of it is the way people make music itself has changed, right? So a lot of people are making music electronically. They use samplers. They
is that like,
and there's
not like fake music, a sampler.
Well, it is. Well, it's not fake music. It's just
music. It's just not played by a human.
Literally, it was at some point usually.
Oh, okay, and they recorded it and stick.
That's right. Okay. That's right. It's not. It's different. It's some wonderful music is made like that. A lot of people, well, they're sort of like DJs, right?
Yeah.
DJs,
No, I'm just saying it.
Karaoke's a big thing. I mean, if all that's musical, then that's fine. As far as actually learning to play an instrument, I think people are still doing that. It's just, well, let's face it, it's a lot more difficult to do that.
When you were, let's say, 16, if you can remember that far back, maybe with the assistance of medication.
At 16, I was heavily medicated.
It was more a popular thing to put a band together, right? You found other guys.
Everybody wanted to be in a band.
I mean, if you had 3 guys and a female singer, everyone wanted to come and see that. Probably.
Yeah, and that was really
right.
There was no MTV. There was no There was nobody. No clips. No YouTube. None of that stuff.
Competition. Right. Yeah. But it seemed like to me, back in let's say the 70s. Let's go back. Maybe that we can go back further, but let's not. 70s, 80s. It was more common for younger folks to let's put a band together, let's go play somewhere, and then those folks stayed as musicians over the years.
A lot of them did, yeah.
Right.
A lot of them did. A lot of them did. It's for me and for a lot of people, it started with, in those days there were your entertainment for television. There was 3 networks, right? CBS, NBC, and ABC,
right.
And that's it.
And then WOR and WPIX were weak sisters, so to speak.
But Ed Sullivan had a show where he would introduce acts, right?
Yeah.
When he had the Beatles on, I think he had them on 3 nights in a row.
Right.
When he had the Beatles on, everyone talked about it. There would be things like that. There was whatever people saw in the news. There was the same news on all 3 channels. The only difference was the entertainment part. The news was basically the same. So people were exposed to the same things. They talked about it. What they would call water cooler talk to that. But even kids, and that was a game changer for me, for a lot of people. And it looked very accessible. It looked like it's something you might be able to do. I mean, they were young kids. They were wearing suits. It's funny. They were outrageous for their time. And you look at them now, they look like they're IBMers for crying out. They got suits and ties and shine shoes.
Yeah, it's true. Interesting.
But that started it for an awful lot of people.
My thought is, we talk about, and Dr. Paul talked about a little bit, music is kind of universal. Music kind of brings us together. Music doesn't see color. It doesn't see gender.
It doesn't see borders. It doesn't see languages. It doesn't see anything.
Correct. I mean, it's kind of what brings us together. And look, everyone today is working on what splits us, what divides us. It's black, it's white, it's rich, it's poor.
I'm not. I got to be honest. I'm not afraid to look at any of that. I understand it's there. It doesn't bother me to look at it. I know it's been there. It's always been there.
Yeah.
I'm okay with looking at that, and I'm okay with. So here's the 2 ends of it. And Dr. Paul was absolutely right.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that our nature is to be kind, right? In a vacuum.
Yeah.
I think if you see somebody in distress like you did on Tuesday night, I think the reaction to people that can help is to help.
Yeah, I do too.
And if they can't help themselves, they look for help.
Get somebody.
You know, I think that's the nature of things. I don't think the nature is to point. And, you know,
and divide. Yeah.
That's right. I don't think that's our nature, and I don't think that's what our country aspires to be. I don't think it ever was.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever aspired to be an elite country. I think we've aspired to be a place where everyone was welcome and everybody, if you did your part, you know, you had a chance to succeed like nowhere else in the world if you were willing to.
But I think that's where we've come from for sure. And the question is whether we're at a crossroads of you know, flipping to another culture in this country of.
Do you think that's?
Let me
that could
home,
be true?
Let me stay home and have the government send me a whole lot of money to not work. You know, as opposed to the work ethic of, you know what, let's go out. This country was built on capitalism. Good, right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm not saying that there's not big businesses and big corporations, but I'm saying the average person, generally, their desire was to work, do good, make some money, raise a family. You know, we've gotten away from that by having this sense of entitlement of richest country in the world. Let me send 1,200. Let me sell. I'm not saying it's not needed and necessary in certain instances, but once we get reliant and dependent upon it, I'll tell you, we have 70 jobs open we can't fill. 70. And you know, we're searching for people that actually want to work. It's you know, and it's scary. I mean, it really is scary.
What are those jobs? I mean,
they're a blend of financial, clerical.
I know. Yeah, I know mortgage processors.
Specifically,
you really need those.
Still can't find them, and all the banks and credit unions are looking for it. But these are.
I know my son-in-law works for UPS, and he was at the house Sunday, and they're having a real problem getting. And they're
everyone's having a problem.
And UPS, unlike many companies, the pandemic. It was like a boom to them, right? More people are home. They're delivered, you know, Amazon and
big
UPS.
the big A.
All these, they weren't designed to be pandemic friendly, but they were designed.
They grew
so that you don't have to leave your living room.
Yeah.
And then there comes a point where you're not allowed to leave your living room.
Right.
So they grew.
Yeah.
And he said the competition is due to wages. So people won't necessarily take a job that's very, very hard work when they can make more money doing something that used to be considered an entry-level job.
Yeah, no, that's.
I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent. I believe that people. I think there's an issue when an incredibly huge, one of the biggest, if not the biggest companies in the country, employs people, and full-time people have to get assistance just to feed their kids. There's something wrong with that.
But I'll tell you what's happening as a result of the lack of available workforce. Wages are, you know, going up.
Are they?
Where companies used to call and say, well, I want to pay 13 and 14.
Yeah.
We say,
you can't get anybody.
You can't get anybody. Zero. You got to start at 15, 16, 17. And really, if you want to get somebody now, $20 an hour.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
well, that'll bring a lot of old people out of retirement.
Well, it should.
Because when I was young, $20 an hour was a lot of money.
It's a big number. So that's happening more and more, and I think rightfully so. I get the fact that some companies can't pass their, markups along to the consumer, but
eventually that's what happens, right? Wouldn't you assume?
It has to happen.
Yeah. They have to make that up.
I mean,
unless they just take less
money.
Profit, and companies normally are not accustomed to that.
They'll go out of business if that happens over time. So, yeah, we live in interesting times for sure. And
now, let me ask you this: do you think that these times we live in? Do you think that people have been saying this for generations in memoriam about the next? Well, they don't want to work; they're lazy. They don't.
Look, it happened to us. Our mothers and fathers looked at us and said, these lazy kids,
yeah,
these lazy kids.
I think it's been going on for a very long time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's no truer now than it was then. We're just on the other side of it. I hope.
I think you're
or
right.
Maybe it is completely different.
The other thing
I don't think we're on the verge of a culture shift. I really don't. I've heard that talk before.
Well, maybe it's coming out of the pandemic. I mean, that's kind of.
Well, it is. There's a lot of things.
This is a once in a hopefully lifetime
People have been
thing.
sitting in their home consuming what they see on TV, and and Netflix and whatever.
Yeah. The other one I love is the good old days. When times were this. When we lived through some of that stuff, we were saying, "Oh my God, the world is screwed up." Whenever we were living, let's say, pick the '80s. Everything was great in the '80s. We're living through that and saying, "This is a S show. It's not good."
Well,
so we always look back and think everything was better.
So yeah, and I tell young people, it's funny you mention. I tell them all the time when I see somebody having a particularly bad day, a young person. If I know them, I don't stop people on the street. Although my wife would give you argument about me.
Yeah. Right.
I do it. I want to talk. I want to. Well, we'll go shopping, and she'd say she's used to it now, and she'd say, "Are you going to talk to everyone in Hannaford?" And it's like, well, I don't know if I'll see him again. Yeah, probably. But I tell young people when I say them, listen, I know you're not going to believe this, but someday you're going to remember these as the good old days.
Yeah.
So you might as well
have a good
act
time
accordingly.
now.
Right. You okay?
Doing good, man.
Have a drink over there.
I'm going to have a little anisette maybe in my coffee.
Nice. That's a good idea. I have it in mind.
So we have Elliott Auerbach on in a few minutes. He's going to be calling in, telling us what's going on all over the state of New York. 8 o'clock, we're going to have Bill Calderara, Richard Catabiani on, and 8:30 we're going to have Lisa Berger talking about
Lisa's going to be live. Bill's going to be live. Is Elliott live?
Elliott is
calling in.
He's alive.
Well,
he's alive.
When I saw him,
he's going to be riding in his car. No, he's going to be. He's in Binghamton or some.
Yeah. He's got a lot of territory.
Guy covers the whole state. So, so it should be good. We got a birthday to talk about. So at 8 o'clock and. A couple events.
I want to do a quick thing about credit unions because
do that,
my
man,
credit union
please.
in particular, but credit unions in general. Somebody had asked me this. It's funny. People think credit unions have a secret handshake and you need to do something to be.
Right.
They're not. What credit unions are, they're just like banks, but they're not for profit. So instead of stockholders, our members are our stockholders. You have $5 in a savings account. That makes you an owner. Technically my boss. Don't be calling in telling me what to do, please. But technically, you're my boss at $5. And being not-for-profit, anything that would normally be profit or distributed to stockholders, we give back to the membership in terms of discounts and lower interest rates, things of that nature, less fees. And I just wanted to make that clear because people don't seem to know the difference.
Yeah,
I get people that call me maybe about mortgages or other things, and I speak to them and they want to know.
Yeah.
Do we do? Yeah,
of course. Most people see a credit union and think bank.
That's right.
Pretty much.
And products are pretty much the same.
But that's been like that
services.
Probably from the beginning.
It has been.
It's just.
Well, what happens is you get used to it and you think everyone knows and they don't. So I just wanted to make that clear that anyone that the guidelines are you have to live, work, worship, go to school, volunteer, or have someone in your immediate family within our defined area, which is 7 counties, to be a member. And then once you're a member, you're always a member.
Correct. So thanks for that distinguishing comment because, look, credit unions are amazing, awesome, and they fill a spot maybe that banks don't.
Well, and that's the target. When they started originally in Germany, and they were tradesmen. They got together that pooled their money together so they could lend to each other because they weren't necessarily in a position where they would have a lender look at them.
Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union, one of our great underwriters, and thank you for your support for KCR, Happy Christmas Fund, you're great corporate citizens in Ulster County and beyond. I'm not going to ask you the 13 locations.
Well, I'll tell you, here's the counties that we cover. We cover Ulster, Orange, Dutchess, Rockland, Sullivan, Putnam, and Westchester counties. Now, if you are, like, for instance, if you want a mortgage and you are a member of our credit union already, you can get a mortgage anywhere in New York State. They're the counties that define our membership. Again, live, work, worship, go to school, volunteer in any of those counties, and you're eligible, or a family member, a direct family member.
There you go. Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit
Union.
You
are a member, are you not?
I am, sir. I have actually some of my hard-earned money in there.
Yes.
As does the Ulster County Italian American Foundation. We have some of our hard-earned money in there, too.
Very good.
All right, Lawrence, take it away, bro.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM. And also online at mykcr.org.
Swimming pools are great for family fun, and Central Hudson wants you to play it safe. Never operate an electric appliance next to or in the pool. Be sure pool motors and filters are grounded. Have them installed by a professional and serviced by a licensed professional electrician. Be very careful if there are electric lines above or near a pool, especially if using long-handled cleaning tools. And if a storm is nearby, get out of the water. Your safety matters.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Screening exams for breast, lung, or colorectal cancers are necessary to detect and treat disease at its earliest, most curable stage. But you may have some concerns and questions. Answer your questions and ease your fears by visiting radiologyinfo.org. In addition to information on screening and wellness, you'll find more than 200 descriptions of radiologic exams, procedures, and treatments to help you prepare. Get informed and be prepared. Visit radiologyinfo.org, produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio has been brought to you by the First Savings Bank in Ulster County that still remains local to this day. Ulster Savings Bank, a community bank that's invested in local business, invested in community, invested in you. Ulster Savings Bank, your one-stop resource for everything local. Locations throughout the Hudson Valley and online at ulstersavings.com. Member FDIC.
All right, folks, we're back. This is Thunder Thursday. I still don't have it.
No, I think
I don't
that
have
was good.
it.
That was good. You had a bit of a growl there, yeah.
Little growl.
Don't hurt your voice. Just let it go for today.
I know.
We can always pick it up next week.
I will. All right, folks, this is Tony Marmo.
And Guy Greco.
And we're joined by the inimitable Elliott Auerbach, the New York State Deputy Comptroller.
Indeed, and driving at the same time.
Driving and twirling a plate.
Multitasking. Good
Yes.
morning. I actually thought last night was Thunder Wednesday. I don't know how things were in the Kingston area, but we had rumbles where I was.
Yeah, we've had some weather.
Yeah,
recently.
it rolled through here. Yeah.
Yep. It's and you see any witch riding a bicycle?
You are stuck on the Wizard of
I am
Oz
stuck
today.
on that.
What's the matter? Not all your flying monkeys came home?
No,
Is that what
I've seen a lot of flying cows and monkeys. And
Elliott, where are you today?
So I can't disclose that.
Okay.
No, I'm in transit. I have an 8:00 meeting that I have to get to, so I am traveling. Always hoping that I could show up at your doorstep and promise that this will be the last.
Yeah, we miss you, man.
I will remote in. I promise.
Well, that would be great.
Do you have socks on today?
I do have socks. I actually have taken my suits to the cleaner. Got them all ready to roll. I mean, we're re-entering the world as we remember it.
Suits
about 14 months ago, and we're easing government back in. At least, our goal, quite honestly, is to get ramped up. And it's going to be a slow process. I mean, moving people back into the norm is going to take some time, and we're anticipating, at least at the Office of the State Comptroller, to start that process sometime this month, with the hopes of being fully ramped up by the second week in September. It's a challenge, as you guys probably know, and Tony, you probably know from your industry at best, is things have been really shuttered most across the state.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think
so
it's
what
across
that
the board.
what we're hoping though is that it does become a seamless process. I imagine there may be a few bumps in the road, and I always like to say sometimes we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and we're following the guidelines of the CDC and the Department of Health in every one of our buildings for the Office of the State Comptroller to ensure that there is still safety there and a protocol there. So we shall see, gentlemen, if we only had a crystal ball.
Well, we've come a long way from a year ago at this time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're feeling relieved. We're back on the road. The Comptroller and I actually were in Ulster County a couple of weeks ago visiting the Bruderhof and just getting a better understanding of all of their machinations between the Mount Academy and children's playthings and everything that they do in the state of New York. And so we're back out on the road, which has been a welcome, we call it our COVID coming out party. Just getting out there and seeing people and shaking hands and saying hello without a face mask on, it seems to be a wonderful thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So are you getting a sense that this is happening all over the state, or is it, slower in Manhattan, it's slower in Syracuse, or what's your sense?
No, I think everybody is really anxious to get going, and it seems to be happening all across the state. Last week we were in Orange County at the Orange County county office building, Orange County Court. Unfortunately, it was not a pleasant trip because we saw the indictment and conviction of 3 people from the Orange County IDA. But that being said, we were out there. The courtroom was filled. Newspaper reporters, county legislators, people just out and about. So it shows you that folks are anxious to return, and I think that the vaccination, quite honestly, not to get political here, but has given folks the sense of security that they needed to get back out.
Yeah. I don't think that's political at all. There's no doubt about it.
So how do you?
So go ahead.
I'm thinking about the Big Apple. A lot of people think, how goes New York City, so goes New York State. Is that? Are you seeing that, Elliott, in terms of business starting to come back, people wanting to go there for tourism purposes? What's your thoughts there?
Yeah. No, we have an office downtown, 59 Maiden Lane. I mean, things are just starting to get back to normal. I think the biggest challenge that I'm seeing are those businesses that may have either been closed or been reduced to time open, finding people to work. I mean, that seems to be the biggest challenge, getting the workforce back into the businesses. And again, Tony, that's your wheelhouse. I mean, I'm sure that your doors being knocked on continually by people looking for help.
Absolutely. I was saying to Guy earlier, I mean, we normally are working on 10 jobs. We have 70 jobs. I mean, we continually get people calling. Now we're getting, and we're able to provide some, believe it or not, catering jobs, weekends. Some people are interested in, because, around here, Hutton Brickyard's just opened. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of venues where places are, wedding venues especially, looking for just part-time staff to jump in on the weekend, bartenders, servers, stuff like that. So, I mean, it's difficult. Sometimes we make 10 phone calls for one person. It's give
and that's the story that I'm hearing across the state, whether it's Buffalo or Baldwin. Folks are trying to get their businesses going. Those folks who have worked diligently to keep their businesses open during this whole pandemic period are really excited. That I can tell you too. The restaurant business is really bubbling up, and people getting out and about into the recreation side of the equation. But it's finding staff. So that's one of the big things. what we're seeing, though, let me just share with you the one thing that I am really finding remarkable is the ability across New York State of all of the elected officials who have stepped forward during this time to literally keep their own government's lights on. And I think I probably mentioned this to you before. If I could write a small government book and take John F. Kennedy's Profiles in Courage, I would find those mayors and supervisors and legislators who have just really stayed the course, worked beyond their capacity to ensure that the folks that they represent, their constituent base, has the services that they always have been relying on. So
yeah.
I've traveled the state. We've looked at, we call it, COVID case studies in a variety of different municipalities. I probably shared with you last month that one of the localities that we looked at, and I applaud, is right here in Ulster County, which is the village of New Paltz, and Mayor Tim Rogers, and seeing what Tim has done and use that as an example across the state to show how small governments have kept things going. So kudos to all of those folks. It's quite remarkable, Tony. When you see, a lot of these people didn't sign up for this. When a small town mayor didn't think that this was going to hit them smack in the face,
right?
And they've reacted well. So kudos to all of them.
Elliott, how are you seeing that federal stimulus money trickling in and helping municipalities and school districts? Or is that unfolding?
Yeah, I have two words to respond to that, Tony. Oh, baby! I mean, we've got the state controller has been working very closely with the Division of Budget to ensure that I call them that our stakeholders, our local governments and school districts, seamlessly get their money, and again to ensure that they know what they can and cannot do once they do get that money. But so we're focusing in on right now on what they call non-entitlement units, and those are the smaller governments, not the big cities like Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester,
right,
who will receive their money directly from the feds. But we're looking at about 1,500 smaller governments who will get the money via New York State, via the Division of Budget and the Office of the State Controller, and working, diligently to ensure, number one, that the money gets into their hands, and number two, that they know what they can and cannot do once they do get the money. It's, I tell a lot of the local elected officials that, while you may think you hit the lottery, you really need to ensure that you spend your money prudently and wisely, and recognize, quite honestly, that this money is going to go away in 2 years. So it's going to be two tranches of money for these non-entitled units. They're going to get 50% of their federal money this year and 50% of their federal money next year. So again, we tell them, don't go out and, do, as my friend, the county executive in Erie County said, well, we're not taking that money and building a new stadium for the Buffalo Bills, nor are we building a new convention center. And he gets it. He understands it. They're going to look to see how they can help their communities who have been greatly affected by the pandemic.
The smaller governmental agencies, are these like villages or what?
Well, villages and towns.
Okay.
Mostly, they fall outside of that metropolitan, that 50,000 residents plus. We have Tony, Guy. This is something that I learned very quickly when I first got to the controller's office. We have over 900 towns in New York State, over 500 villages in New York State, names that I've never heard of before. Yeah. I said, "That's a town," that kind of a thing. So there's these huge pockets of smaller governments spread out from, like I said, from Buffalo to Baldwin, Long Island, that are operating on a daily basis with the elected officials, whether it be the mayor or the town supervisor, with a council or a village board. And these folks are the ones that we are really paying close attention to and working closely with. as well as the 700 school districts that are in New York State. So imagine all of these small governments. Think of it as walking down Main Street and seeing hundreds and hundreds of storefronts. Imagine these small governments who really don't have the sophistication or the understanding in some respects that some of the larger cities do. So we're there, I'll call it holding their hand or guiding them through this process right now. And it's it's a nice place to be. You know, everybody loves getting money, and so there's big smiles on everybody's faces. But we're also telling them, you know, guys, don't go crazy. That's all.
Now, did you already have a mechanism in place to get all this money to these very small towns and villages, or did you have to?
Good question.
Cash. It's all cash money.
We have the capacity to do that, and I think that's why they rely on the Comptroller's office, because we are responsible for aid and incentives to municipalities. That it's called AIM money getting to municipalities that we already do. We are responsible for paying those communities who get proceeds from having video lottery terminals either in their town or their village. So we have this mechanism in place, and it makes it that much easier, whereas some states do not. So they have to literally invent this or create this from the ground floor up. In our case, it's in place, so it makes it that much easier.
What's your prediction for 22? Do you see kind of normalcy? I mean, you know, we get through today's July 1. Happy
Scary.
July 1. You know, are you seeing, okay, we're going to get through the rest of this year, and then, you know, Nirvana is going to be in 2022. Is that a band?
Yeah, Nirvana is a band, yes. But, it's going to be interesting. I think that this year, besides being the transition back into normalcy, or what was normalcy, I think we're going to see, I'll call this the year of reinvention. And it's going to be an opportunity for not just government, but for businesses to literally reinvent the way they do business, because they had to come up with some very innovative ideas over the course of the last 14 months, some which worked well, others which failed miserably. But the things that worked well, I think if they start adopting them as their norm, I think we're going to see a change. You know, in our case, I think it was remarkable, and leveraging technology, that we can pull together a meeting across the state in a matter of 10 minutes using a Microsoft product called Teams. And get everybody around the table, not have to rent a big, convention center or conference room or whatever it is, and not have to worry about people traveling and finding parking spaces and those kind of things. So that gave us at least the insight that we can use technology in that respect, but it also opened our eyes, as I'm sure it has many other businesses, that now we have this wealth of talent that we can draw in that doesn't physically have to sit in a cube or an office in a physical space, but can work remotely from somewhere and still be a very integral part of the operation.
Yeah, I think that that came out of the pandemic, and it's here to stay. That may play into what Tony was talking about earlier too, with staffing. People
absolutely.
They find out they can do their job quite well from the confines of their own home, and they a little reluctant to go back out and put socks on.
More ability to make money on the internet, more ability to work remotely, and less need to be face-to-face with people.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of jobs, obviously, that require face-to-face.
There are, but
but
I think what may play, and certainly you're an expert on this, I'm not, may play into it, is they think there's a choice. People think there's a choice.
Yeah.
If I don't do this job, maybe I can get a job where I can continue to do what I'm doing now from home.
Yeah.
Now, personally, I can't. I don't like working from home. It's not. I would have to get up and get dressed.
A hybrid approach. You know, that's what I'm kind of hoping for. That there'll be like either a 50-50 or 60-40 or however. I mean, we've had this before COVID, where we would have an opportunity for people to work remotely 40% of their work week.
Yeah.
And, even when I was at Ulster County, and it sort of was unique because people looked at me like I was crazy, but my staff at the Comptroller's office had the opportunity to work from home back in, 2015, 2016, 2017. I don't need an auditor writing a report to be sitting in a cubicle 10 feet away from me, if you follow what I'm saying.
Well,
and the other thing that I'm seeing, and I think this is wonderful too, is people are working more and not less for the most part. There'll be some of those one-off issues of folks not doing the job, but I'm finding people who, maybe get on line at 7:00 in the morning because they're not commuting. They packed up their kids. They've got them either off to camp or off to school, and they turn on their computer. This morning I'll give you an example. This morning at 7:00, I was communicating with one of the assistant controllers in our, in our division. She's up in Washington County. So this is going to be the new norm, and I think that we're going to have to embrace that. And I say I believe that we're ready for it, but I think that there's some mindset that if you're not sitting in your cubicle, you're not working, that's going to need to change.
Yeah. So when you started that story, you said something that spurred my interest. You said when you came to Ulster County, people would look at you like you were crazy. How did you get that to stop? This would be information I could actually use.
Well, I will tell you, it's the end result. Are we producing? What's the product? How successful we are getting it out the door? Whatever we do, whether I'm a journalist or I'm an auditor, and I think that speaks for it. I don't. People can hide under their desk in their office if they want to. If you follow what I'm saying,
I do.
I think it's empowering the individual with a sense of taking ownership, and that is the key, regardless of what kind of a business you're running. Yes, I agree with Tony. This is not for everybody. You can't dig a hole remotely, if you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But there are a number of factors here that will affect a number of industries where people can comfortably work remotely. And what that does for the company or the business or the government is it opens the door to this talent pool that you may not have been able to tap into because of the physical demand of getting in the car and driving 100 miles to work or whatever it is.
That's right.
You follow what I'm saying?
I do. A lot of people wouldn't be willing to do that. Now you can pull from people anywhere. They don't have to look at the downside of a commute or where they live. I think it's changed a lot of things. I think and Bill will certainly talk about this when he's on, but I think it's changed the real estate market. I think it's changed the way people look at where they live and what they do for a living. It's not necessarily confined. If you want a certain job, you need to live in a big metropolitan area. A lot of that's changed, and maybe it'll stay that way.
And it's great. And from a community standpoint, I've seen in Ellenville that the area has been flooded with folks who are buying up homes, I might add, at bargain basement prices compared to anywhere else in Ulster County, and who are relocating here because they can work remotely.
That's right.
And it's exciting. It's
exciting
to see, and it gives people the opportunity to, I would say, enhance their quality of life as well. So there's a bigger smile on their face.
Yeah.
I have an important question.
You do.
What are you doing for fun? And,
what am I doing for fun? Well, I think
fun,
I told you
F-U-N.
last month I bought a John Deere tractor. That's my fun.
Okay, well,
I heard
you
about
just
that,
dig up. You like pick things up and put things down. You dig a hole, fill the hole back in.
Right. Well, yeah, and Judy and I have been hiking a lot.
Okay, good.
So we've discovered, and this is the beauty of living in Ulster County, living where we live. We discovered the Shawangunk Ridge Trail, which is part of the Long Path.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
So we've been learning that. We've been hiking it, trying to get and of course utilizing the preserve Mohonk as our backyard.
Oh, geez.
Sam's Point. So it's great to get out there. I had my little grandkids with me last week. We hiked Bear Cliff. I mean, it was just we live, guys. I don't have to tell you. I'm
my
preaching
gosh.
to the choir here. We live in a wonderful place. I mean, I feel like every day is a vacation living in Ulster County, just basically because what we have out our back door.
I was mentioning this in one of my governor visits, Rotary governor visits. This is such a beautiful, our Hudson Valley. You get to see the entire state, but it's a stunning. The geography around here in our counties, Hudson Valley counties that border the Hudson River, are just amazing. They really are. I'm in awe. Sometimes I'm just sitting in my car saying, "Oh my gosh, look at this view." This is down in the Nyack area. Look at the view of the Hudson River, and man, it was just.
And I think coming out of the pandemic, you appreciate it anew.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've talked to my friends in the Palisades Parks Commission. I've talked to my friends in open space. I mean, I think people have recognized that the outdoor, regardless of what the season is, outdoors has become this wonderful oasis
where it's at
during the crisis.
It's where it's at. Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. How's the great village of Ellenville doing?
So Ellenville is booming. I'm very excited for the village. I joked they opened up their farmers market last week, and I was shocked. First of all, there was 400 people there.
Wow!
And what shocked
Impressive.
me more than that is that I didn't know half of them, and that to me is a tribute to what's happening. I bleed Ellenville blood. I'm sure you know that, Tony, already.
I know.
And I joke that it's taken Ellenville 20 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah.
But I think that the Ellenville has found its place and its time. I just read yesterday that one of the local motels that's been shuttered for about 10 years was just bought by two Brooklyn couples who intend to turn it into a destination place. I know the Neville Hotel right down the road from me is under contract right now with a great group out of New York City called Somerset, who is looking at it to do some great things. And as I said to you earlier, according to my real estate friends, you can't touch a house, and the inventory just seems to be jumping off, the paper because again in Ellenville. It's a price position. I would consider them bargain prices, and more importantly, it's 90 miles from Manhattan. So I think that gives it all of that whole cachet.
So that the Resnick days and the Channel Master days are coming back.
Well, they're coming back in a different form, but they're coming back. And those families certainly were integral to the community and have left their mark and have left some. I got to tell you, the Channel Master days. You saw some magnificent homes being built in the late 50s and early 60s that now have become cool to own because they're mid-20th century homes.
Right.
So people are buying them up. So, listen, I know my time is tight. I just want to leave you with one thing, and we talked about money, the municipalities earlier. But I want to remind folks out there that the Comptroller DiNapoli, also is the steward of all unclaimed funds in New York State, and this is something that he does when he travels the state, just to remind people who may have monies that they forgot about. And it's amazing.
Guy Greco's on that list. I can guarantee it.
I
guarantee Guy Greco's on that list.
Yeah, there's 17. This is what the Comptroller told me the other day. There's 17 billion, like with a B, dollars in lost money out there. And, he's anxious to get the money back into people's hands.
17 billion. Of unclaimed funds.
Last year, I think in 2021. No, this year, I think so far he's like returned back $205 million to people. And it may be the $10 or $15 that you put down for a deposit somewhere, or an insurance policy that you may have overpaid and then canceled, or it may be a refund for anything. All this money gets returned to the Comptroller's office. So, real quickly, I'm telling folks, go online. Google the Office of the State Comptroller unclaimed funds, and look. You can find your name on there, a family name, family member name, organization that you belong to. Check it out, because you may be there's somebody's going to hit the jackpot on that one.
And there's no fee. There's no fees that come out of it. You just
no fee. This is
it's right.
Don't get caught in that scam. This is directly from the controller.
No, so if you have I don't know, it could be as little as $25. You close a charge account or something like that, credit card account, money's still out there, or some other big settlement from an insurance guy that you might.
Is there a minimum? Is there a minimum? I mean,
no. I mean,
okay.
You're talking. The average person is about $50, so there's no minimum. I've seen things even in cents, quite honestly, because every company is required. Every business is required to turn over this money to the controller. So you may have had a credit card bill where it was $10 that you owed, and you paid $10.10, and there's that 10 cents there that never got back to you, if you follow what I'm saying.
All right, everybody go Google that. Elliott, Auerbach, thank you for everything you do. You just bring it every single day, and we appreciate you. Thank you for all you do. Stay well, stay safe, and looking forward to
Happy Fourth.
having an adult beverage.
Happy Fourth.
Yes, Happy Fourth. All right, brother. Thank you. Lawrence.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Swimming pools are great for family fun, and Central Hudson wants you to play it safe. Never operate an electric appliance next to or in the pool. Be sure pool motors and filters are grounded. Have them installed by a professional and serviced by a licensed professional electrician. Be very careful if there are electric lines above or near a pool, especially if using long-handled cleaning tools. And if a storm is nearby, get out of the water. Your safety matters.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Screening exams for breast, lung, or colorectal cancers are necessary to detect and treat disease at its earliest, most curable stage. But you may have some concerns and questions. Answer your questions and ease your fears by visiting radiologyinfo.org. In addition to information on screening and wellness, you'll find more than 200 descriptions of radiologic exams, procedures, and treatments to help you prepare. Get informed and be prepared. Visit radiologyinfo.org, produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio has been brought to you by the First Savings Bank in Ulster County that still remains local to this day. Ulster Savings Bank, a community bank that's invested in local business, invested in community, invested in you. Ulster Savings Bank, your one-stop resource for everything local. Locations throughout the Hudson Valley and online at ulstersavings.com. Member FDIC.
Okay, folks, we're back. This is Thunder Thursday. I'm getting there. I'm almost getting there. Almost getting there.
At the nanosecond,
I know.
He's back. It's like he never left.
Nano.
That's a real pro there.
So we have to...
I've been hearing it for several days.
Yes,
that's right. You're the recipient of a lot of these
I'm almost by next week, the voice will be back 100%, maybe by tomorrow, actually.
And that's his nickname, The Voice. Tony The Voice.
Yeah, right. So we do have a birthday. This morning we'll have one of our guests read. Bill Calderara, welcome from Ulster Savings Bank, President and CEO, and Richard Catabiani, retired emeritus, brightest guy in SUNY Ulster and New Paltz schools ever, and KCR co-host.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll let Guy read the wiener. Okay, Bill.
All right, so happy birthday to Natalie Harvey from your friends and family, and it's actually the Cruz family that sent it in.
Oh, cool. Yep. Know those folks, obviously.
And now, with the suspense built,
yeah,
the birthday winner of the famous cow pie for July 1st is...
That's a little lower register.
Natalie Harvey, yes.
Usually goes up, the trumpet
Natalie
goes higher.
Harvey. Courtesy of Boyce Dairy.
Wow. So I also have to get a shout out, birthday shout out to Leanne's sister, Rachel Pretch, who lives in Pine Plains. I don't think the signal goes to Pine Plains, Lawrence. I don't think. She could be listening on YouTube, but probably not. Happy birthday to Rachel. She of the owner of either 5 or 6 beautiful wait a minute, Canna Corsos. Canna Corso dogs. These are not little lap dogs.
I'm not familiar with these dogs.
These are like Italian Mastiffs.
I see.
So that means they're BIG, man.
And they need a saddle, right?
They need a saddle. The males go 140, 150 sometimes. The females like $1.25.
And Rachel, your sister saved a life, just so you know.
Yes. Rachel, Leanne, yes, lifesaver. Bill Calderara was there Tuesday night.
Yes.
And yeah,
was this at Hits?
It was at Hits.
Can you tell us about that, please?
Yeah, I mentioned early in the list that there was a fella had a cardiac event. He was setting up the sound system and hit the floor, just collapsed. Had previous heart situation, and so next thing I saw, my wife was pumping on this guy's chest and trying to do CPR on him. Very faint pulse, not responsive, and Leanne just, I didn't see it happening. I just saw her on the ground, and I knew what was happening immediately, obviously, and so she did CPR for, it seemed like 5-8 minutes. It's hard doing CPR, pumping on somebody's chest continuously. She stopped, and the bartender there, Ricky, Jamaican young man, former military, CPR trained, he stepped in, did his thing. By that time, town of Saugerties police were there with the AED, the automatic external defibrillator, shocked this person, and he was somewhat more responsive. By that time, the EMTs were there. They shocked him 2 more times, and he's in stable condition now at Vassar, I believe. So
that's terrific.
It's a big save. 57-year-old male. Wow. And yeah, I mean, we were just coming to eat some spaghetti. That was it, and have a good time. I figured it was a night off for me, and it was. I mean, Leanne just jumped in. It's interesting because our Highland Rotary Club 2 years ago, well, before the pandemic, did a CPR training, community hands-only CPR training, which is what they do now, for about 35 people. And Leanne's a registered nurse, but her CPR had lapsed, and so our Rotary Club did that, and I took it, she took it, and several of our members, we're going to probably do it again as a result of this.
And you get certified from that club?
Certified from the American Heart Association, Yep. Mobile Life was the instructor. We actually got a district grant to do that, and like $1,200. It's a great,
well, that's money well spent, right? There's an example of it right there.
Sure.
So when my son was a volunteer fireman and an EMT being trained, they used John Travolta's "Staying Alive."
Oh yeah.
Of course,
that's
the
rhythm.
keep the rhythm.
Right.
So I remember him singing, and he not a very good voice. I'll have to say, hope he's not awake, so I'm sure he's not.
I think
John Travolta?
No,
he doesn't listen.
That's good.
Listening that often.
Yeah, but anyway,
it's
important work, and I'm glad for the happy ending.
Yeah. So. First, let's thank Ulster Savings Bank for all the work that they do in this community. Good work for people, and certainly on the financial end, but also just on the end of giving time, talent, and money to the community, various and sundry causes. You're amazing. You've only been around, 170 years?
170 years.
Yeah,
so
only 170. So. Talk about, a legacy company, that started a long time ago and has constantly had to reinvent itself. Just think of all the stuff, all the history that this area has been through and this country has been through in 170 years. I mean, it's staggering.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine.
Right?
It is hard to imagine it. I mean, if you think back to it, right? But we were founded in 1851. We were in horse and buggies. I mean, if you really
Pre-Civil War.
Pre-Civil War. So if you really think of what it's been through from that time, it really is
staggering
and amazing, the history. So I mean, we're very proud of the history, and we're very respectful of our history as well.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I've asked you this, but there are portraits of all the former CEOs. Is that right?
There's portraits of not all of them, but most of them. We do have.
And most of them are not in color, I'm guessing?
Most of them are
certainly
black
not
and white.
photographs.
Some, I think, are drawings and and not actually photographs. We do, out of respect, we down it when we renovated our building downstairs. We preserved one of the boardrooms, and we put everything, the furniture and the stuff down there, and so it's kind of a little bit of a mini museum downstairs.
Do you have anything from way back when? I know I was up at Sawyer Savings Bank, had a celebration. I don't think they're nowhere near as long.
They turned 150. So
right. They're up
the
there.
new kids on the block. 150.
No, but we're I say always blessed to have a lot of organizations, financial organizations, and they're great for the community.
Oh, it is.
They have a great longevity as well. So,
but they had, I think, their original, because I went up to their ribbon cutting. They had their first deposit made by a female, a $50 deposit. Was that started essentially? They say started the bank.
Sizable deposit back
$50.
Sure.
150 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, 17 billion that's in the unclaimed funds, right?
I want to know if at least they're putting it in long-term CDs or something.
Right. So anyway,
wait a minute. There was a very important person whose name I forgot right now, who was, in fact, one of the very first CEOs of Ulster Savings Bank in the 1860s, or rather 1886 or something, and he was the Democratic nomination for the President of the United States, and he lost.
You're kidding.
No. I remember reading this, and in fact, I may have brought it up when we first met a while back, but next time I'm in, I will bring that fact clearly, and yes, I remember being quite. His name was Arthur. It's not Arthur Frederick Sheldon. But it's very much like that.
Yeah.
So you have a line drawing in your basement somewhere of the Democratic candidate for the presidency of the United States.
Lincoln? It was Lincoln.
No.
It was Lincoln a Republican? Wasn't
he was, but that was it was after Lincoln.
Okay,
it's more like McKinley up in there. One of those
obscure
guys. Yeah.
So there's a precedent set for you as well now.
So I'm just bringing it up. I don't want any pressure, but
but really,
just
real pressure, but a grassroots movement.
Yes, I think
could have
so.
started right here,
and you can start with Rotary District Governor. So, speaking about that, Bill just finished a very successful year as the president of the oldest club in our Rotary District, Kingston, founded in 1916. You have a lot of history, man. You surround history.
Yep.
I had to. I had to buy a house that was built in 1850.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. So, very successful year, and Leanne and I were privileged to be there last night to celebrate that year and usher in the new president and the new year and the new board, Richard Catabiani. So congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So, Bill, we'll just start with you first. Just, from a Rotary perspective, the volunteer world, you've lived through the work world of trying to have Ulster Savings Bank adapt to the craziness of the last 12 months. What was it like from, managing a Rotary club, leading a Rotary club during the pandemic?
Sure, and a lot of similar things. We had to adapt technology. We just we were forced to. We couldn't meet in person, so we adapted meeting by Zoom and having meetings. We did from time to time when we were able to, when things loosened up a little bit, do an outdoor meeting. We actually used a field next to my house, and we brought chairs, and we literally had them out in a big circle.
Yeah.
We were
6
probably
feet
more
apart.
like 10 feet than 6 feet.
How many people was that?
Yeah, we had as many as 15 or 20 at one time, but it's a big. We literally had to just spread wide out.
An abundance of caution.
Abundance of caution.
Hey, right.
Everybody came mass, and but more often than not, we had to meet by Zoom.
Right.
It allowed us to do some interesting things too. So we actually kind of adopted each other of a sister club out in the Philippines.
Yes,
and
yes.
we ended up doing a water project with them there, but we were able to meet, which
Yes.
we never would have been able to do in person.
Otherwise,
So,
yeah.
I think it was 4 or 5 times we had joint meetings of a club here in Kingston and a club in the Philippines, and it really we've grown some friendships between the two clubs, and then they invited us to a meeting where many of us were able to attend, where they had clubs from really around the world, from Japan, from Korea, from and it was just a great evening. So we adopted. We actually kicked off, and Richard will probably talk about this more than I will, but because he was one of the people in charge of it. But we started an event. I mean, in a year. So think about everybody trying to hold, hang on to the events they had. Right. We had planned to have this capital run from Kingston to Hurley and for the burning of Kingston, and suddenly we can't do a physical run from the two capitals, and we went back and forth on whether we would cancel it. We finally adopted it to a virtual run, and it was very successful. And not only that, we had participants, again, not only just from around the area, from around the country, and I think we even had a couple of international participants in this virtual 5K. So we had a greater and vaster,
impact,
audience and impact than we would have if we just stuck to our normal meeting. So in some ways it was eye-opening, and it helped us to expand.
Well, I mean, I think you seized the opportunity, the unintended consequences of the pandemic, which was saying, hey, we can meet virtually and we can meet all over the world. I mean, there's a huge benefit to that. The other thing I'll say that you did was you invented, or at least brought back, the idea of a Visitors' Day. That means attracting new members into Rotary. All the service organizations are suffering. The churches are suffering in terms of attendance, right? Mm-hmm. Synagogues. You name any organized activity and event, and the involvement is declining, right? You all started a huge incentive, I'll say, to get members to come in, learn about Rotary, brag about what you did, and that was copied about 6 or 8 times in the district by different clubs, all producing results, of new members coming into Rotary. Not arm twisting, just learning about what service clubs do. Talking about Dr. Paul Jankowitz earlier, service clubs do kind acts and deeds for others, right?
Right.
A lot of times not even known, but a lot of times known. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we should be teaching. And the Kingston Rotary Club did it this year. Thank you for leading. And Richard, we're going to move to you. So you have some big shoes to fill.
Oh, yes.
But you also have big feet.
Well, thank you for that. I have to go now. No.
Are you looking at his feet now under the table? Is that what you just did?
Just symbolic.
So basically, we're not going to change horses in the middle of the stream. Bill did a great job laying it out. I have in front of me something that Bill drew up on June 30th of 2020, and all I did for my term was take a look at it, adjust the seasoning, as the joy of cooking says, and we're using the very same lesson plan, for lack of a better word, to move forward. And one of the things that I mentioned last night, and I will actually read what I said because it's easier.
You can.
Although we are now clearly on the verge of meeting face to face again and getting out there in the community, in order to remain relevant, in order for Rotary to remain relevant in this new world order, we really need to remain current and consistent and embrace, understand, and utilize Club Runner, Zoom, Instagram, Facebook, and all of these emerging technologies, because we cannot and must not go back to doing business as usual. Those days are done. And when Bill basically took the leap and said, we're going to try it this way, and we all said, yes, we're all in this together, it worked. And then, of course, as we were talking a wee bit earlier about who would have thought that a 5K event, 3.1 miles, would be something you can do over the ether?
That's right.
I mean, 15 states, 126 participants in 2 foreign countries, and we were able to give the money to the Hudson Valley Center for Veteran Reintegration.
It's really something.
So it is really something. So where we're at right now, and I'm hoping to be at the mayor's office next week, we had all of the paperwork in the pipeline for the actual race, which would start at the Senate House and end, as Bill said, at the Van Dusen House in Hurley. Well, now I can do that again. So last night, Lynn Churchill, excellent treasurer, also in Elk, another service community organization, as you know, gave me the checks necessary to pay the governor, not the governor, I'm sorry, his honor,
the Brooklyn guy.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, the Brooklyn guy.
I was going to bring him $2,000 in small bills in a brown paper bag, but I didn't think I don't think that would be
unclaimed funds, by the way.
So basically, we're going to try again to have a hybrid. Therefore, those of us who want to remain virtual, like our friends in Louisiana, like our friends in Texas, like our friends in Alabama, like our friends in Arkansas, all the way down to West Virginia, just about every letter of the alphabet, they can still join us.
Right.
But those of us who are local and want to run the route that the refugees, a word that I really want to stress, the refugees took when they were avoiding being burned to death by the Brits. They ran that route.
Richard, how long have you been in Rotary?
2007.
Who's your sponsor?
Dan Lack.
Dan Lack. Okay.
I didn't even, you see, as you know, I'm an academic. I'm not a business person. Yeah. So, there was no invitation for academics to join Rotary because we couldn't take off at 12 noon because we were in the middle of teaching chemistry. I mean, that just didn't work.
Didn't happen.
So when Dan, I did I was the director of international programs at the college for 20 years. I started the program. It's still going fine, all of that.
New Pulse?
No, SUNY Ulster. Yes, the best kept secret on the planet, the community college. God bless Mr. Rockefeller. He started that, but that's another topic. But Dan had a Rotary table set up, and it said international. And I'm sitting next to him with my table, international.
This is my thing.
And I look over to Dan and I say, what are you? Who are you? And he said, I'm a Rotarian. And we had this great conversation, and then he invited me to speak to the club, and I liked it, and I joined.
The rest is history.
And here I am.
And you've served as president.
I have. And when Bill and I were in a club called the Sunrise Club, and then the clubs merged. So I was president of the Sunrise Club for 18 months.
Right.
Because we needed to realign and readjust, and we did. And now we are all together, and we don't even think about Sunrise, and it's just the Rotary
that's great.
Club.
You've done an amazing job. So Rotary was founded in 1905. Mm-hmm. The Kingston Club was founded in 1916, which is not too far away. I mean, there's a lot. I'm not sure. I think New York was the first. New York City Rotary was the first Rotary club in the state. You all have to be like in the top 10 or maybe even half dozen. Yep.
And we remain vital. That's the real key.
Yeah. Well, you do. And I said that. You've reinvented yourself several times, like Ulster Savings Bank, like Sawyer's. These places have been around for, you can't just throw it in, just can't mail it in, as it were. You have to adjust, and it's about leadership, So I'm doing my visits, 56 clubs. I stress and talk about leadership, and not all leaders are created equally. We know that. Some wear socks, some don't wear socks.
Oh, with the socks. And the feet. You got a real feet. He's got a foot fetish.
No
definitely a foot thing on today.
He will readily admit that the first thing he notices about anyone when they walk in the room is their shoes.
Yes, that's true. Anyway.
But let me just say what Bill did a great thing. He understood that, I'm still flashing on shoes here.
That's what happens. Now he's converted you. Now you're going to
You hear that song on the radio, and it never goes away.
Earworm. It's an earworm. Go ahead.
But the idea was we needed to find a way to stay relevant, and Zoom was what we needed to do. Yes. And in so doing, we were able to really bring those folks who were isolated and couldn't drive, and maybe were just tired or didn't want to drive at night. I mean, I'm rapidly approaching that myself. That opened up a whole new platform, and Bill recognized that. It was a very clear road, and we're just taking that road. It's really important. And it also gives us the chance to have a robust speaker program because, as we all know, I've heard guys from India, Germany, the Czech Republic, all remarkable, speaking English magnificently, I might add, something that has always been curious to me, how we don't really have a great language base in our country in terms of another language.
Right.
Talking about some English is like another language.
Well, that might be. Well, yes.
The Brooklynites, the Bronx, people from the Bronx.
Let's just stop right there for a minute now.
Vocabulary.
I don't understand what you guys don't get about it.
Forget about it.
I mean, really.
Well, this is bad, by the way. We do have 4 Italians around a table. I don't know.
This is not a good thing.
Where's the cheese? Who's got the provolone?
You know, I'm sorry to bring this up. I'm sorry to bring this up again, but the first thing you said to Richard is you got big shoes to fill. The first thing. The first thing.
Well, I'm thinking about wearing cannoli boxes for shoes.
Well, he'd notice. He'd tell you where the cannolis were made. He's
absolutely. Yeah, I know all that stuff. So project into 22. I asked this of Elliott Auerbach. You have July 1st today to the end of the year. Then we're going to knock on a new year. And what are your thoughts, Richard, about
We've got 24 possible ways to move forward, and each of those is broken into about 5 or 6 categories. The way what I really want to do is focus on revitalizing our fundraisers because, as Peter Rakoff, who's about 88 or maybe 89 now and was a charter member of the Sunrise Club, said one of the hardest things about being a Rotarian is when you have to go out with your tin cup. And boy, do I feel that because I don't like going with a cup and saying I need this. But when you really give the folks you tell them what you're doing for the community. I mean, we have over 50 projects that we have done, things from $10,000 for gates and doors on neighborhood centers to keeping the kids safe at Forsyth Park to, giving.
I think that's got to help, right? When people can see what the dollars they give go to, when they can see the
and with Rotary,
the fruits of it.
Rotary's 100% volunteer organization.
Yeah.
Right? So there, and that doesn't take anything away from the nonprofits that do different work, but as a service club, everything we raise really goes back out into the communities or back out into service projects. It doesn't go to anybody. It's not used for club administration or things like that. We really, we have dues to pay for those different things.
For example, the money went directly to the Mandaluyong Club in Metro Manila. Because we're Rotary, there's no middle person.
Right.
I mean, you needed $2,500 to make sure that your water project remained potable. We gave you $2,500. They got $2,500.
Right.
And I love it.
And whenever we do an international project, there's a Rotary Club on the other side. So we've feet on the ground, boots.
And you do so much locally.
Boots on the ground.
So much locally. I just want to mention one quick one. Last Friday evening, the seniors from Kingston High School did not have a dance. That dance happened in Rotary Park at Kingston Point, and you allowed the Kingston Rotary Foundation, to be the conduit for the money to be spent. So
that's Bill.
But that's great. I mean, that's just making Rotary relevant and topical and current and local, and I mean, it's
well. There wasn't enough time for them to do everything they would need to do to create it into a nonprofit organization and file everything else. We do those things, so we used our foundation, and then we funded we took the donations in through our foundation and then paid the expenses out for the project, which was great. And again, it's starting to reaching out to that next generation.
Yes,
hopefully we'll remember some of the things that were done for them, and and pay it back in the future in the form of them joining service organizations.
So one of the
Lawrence, anything? Okay.
So one of the things that, talking about reaching out and getting younger people involved, Okay, so really quickly, the Interact is basically a high school level service club.
Rotary
but Bill,
club, right.
Bill brought something up that really was music to my ears. We ought not to start in the high school, because by the time the kids get to the high school, they're competing on so many different levels.
Middle
Chess
school.
club to the football team or the baseball team. Middle school is the way to go. So
there is a framework in place called Early Act.
Well, I think that one of the things that I'll be looking into, because I've been teaching school for a century, I really do want to start that. And we have some very young mothers in our group.
Yes.
Brand new members,
Yes.
one of whom is on the board, Sarah Nelson, who's a terrific gal. She has a young boy, Caleb, 13 or 14, very talented.
Perfect.
Let's get started. Let's take a look.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the new enterprises.
Bill Calderara, immediate past president of Kingston Rotary, and president CEO of Ulster Savings. Thank you for your service. Thank you for all you do. Richard Catabiani, current president, July 1. And my partner on July 29th. We're going to have a great show.
We have three great guests.
We have looking forward to it. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. We're looking forward to great things this coming Rotary year. So,
one other question,
Thank
Tony.
you for your service, Tony.
Thank you, man.
Where did you get those shoes, Tony?
Yes. Where did you get those
These
shoes?
are-
You had them made.
Bruno Molly's. They're Bruno Molly's. Lawrence, take it away, please.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Central Hudson reminds you that summer thunderstorms can strike with strong, gusty winds, knocking down trees and power lines. If you see a downed power line, call 911 immediately to report it. Power lines can carry an electric current strong enough to cause injury or death. Stay at least 30 feet away from a fallen line. Don't try to move it or anything that has come in contact with it. And never drive over a power line. Remember, your safety matters.
There was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His parents could only hope that one day he would leave the hospital healthy, and they would all live happily ever after. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year. You can help the March of Dimes stop premature birth and bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
He is a pro.
I'm not a pro.
Go
ahead. Welcome back, folks. This is Thunder Thursday.
That was my impression of you doing an impression of Scott Harrington.
That's good. So this is Tony Marmo.
And Guy Greco. And our guest?
Lisa Berger.
And we are wrapping up the last half hour.
We are, Lisa. You know the drill. You know the drill. Let's take a quick call. Good morning, caller. You're on Thunder Thursday. What's your comment or question?
Good morning, Tony, and everybody else.
Hey, George. How we doing, man?
Hey, the past 3 weeks, I was out at Terry Bray and also Lockmore golf courses, and your signal reached all the way out on top of the mountain there.
No, where is that? Is it Greek County?
That's Sullivan County, out by South Forsberg and Loch Seldrake.
Wow, cool.
And, up on top of the mountain, you guys came through clear as a bell, because I was listening to you driving out there and stuff. And
on 92.5?
On
920.
Probably not on FM, probably AM.
The 920 signal.
Yeah.
920 signal.
And it was clear, George?
The only time you was a little bit in and out was driving through the lower areas by Greenfield Park and stuff on 52 West.
Interesting. I didn't know you were a big golfer. You're out in God's country out there, man.
Well, let's just say I'm a golfer. I'm not a big golfer.
Right. That's right.
But
right.
To answer the question you had earlier, when the president of Ulster Savings Bank was on.
Yes, Bill Calderara.
Yes, the presidential candidate was Orton P. Parker. He was president of Ulster Savings Bank from 1896 to 1904, and he was the Democratic nominee in 1904.
Wow. Okay. Answered. Thank you, George.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, thank God for Google. But you guys go ahead with the rest of the show. You always have a great show, and I look forward to listening to you guys every morning and every week. And have a great weekend.
Well, thanks for your support.
Thank you for calling, George. And
great listener, great guy.
We feel compelled to make the show better now that we know that it reaches as far as it does. I had no idea that people in Sullivan County could hear our banter.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
All right, Lisa Berger, what's happening? Where everybody's getting ready to bust out.
It's the Roaring '20s.
Right.
It's busted. It happened. Everybody said it was going to happen, and it happened. I can tell you that our restaurants, if they had adequate staff, they'd be doing even better.
Yeah,
they all say, it's come roaring back to life. People are going out, they're enjoying themselves, they're, just about dancing in the streets, and it's been really good for our local business. And then this weekend is 4th of July, and all of our accommodations are filled up.
So parades or this and that, everything is back.
Everything's back. I mean, fireworks. I'm sure did you guys talk about this yet? How people can't get their hands on fireworks?
No, we didn't discuss that.
We didn't.
So
why can't they get their hands on them?
Who would have thought that the supply chain issues would have affected
fireworks? You're kidding.
Fireworks?
I know you can't get cars because they don't make the chips.
Well, yeah, that's right.
That's
chips.
That's right. And the fireworks are predominantly made in China, right? Isn't that where the supply chain is breaking down? Somewhere between here and China, which is a lot of changing a lot of hands.
We're not going there.
They said I'm just talking to the supply chain.
I get it.
But and of course, it's driving the price up for fireworks, way, way, way up. A lot of municipalities aren't
lumber and
exponential, exactly like that.
Burst.
It did.
Yeah, I just read about that. It burst. It's still not back down below the prices of 2015. But
prices are coming down. The supply has caught up to the demand.
Well, you want to know what's so interesting about that? Says the tourism person, is people are now going on vacation. They've decided to go on vacation. They're not taking that money and pouring it into their houses, like having outdoor spaces.
Demand is coming down.
They are tired of being in their houses.
Right.
Exactly, being with each other.
That's
exactly.
right.
It's time to go on vacation and get those kids out. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Isn't that interesting?
It is.
Yeah. So that
paying $100 for a sheet of plywood anymore. Is that still around there?
I don't know. Is that what it cost? $100 for a sheet of plywood?
I think it's a little bit less, but not much.
It was
like $80 or something like that.
It was crazy. Yeah. But I guess over the last 2 weeks, supply chain kind of caught up. Plus, demand is way down now that almost the whole country is opened back up. So really, so now people are just jumping on planes going where they haven't gone before. And the only thing that hasn't recovered, of course, is international because there's still such a problem in Europe.
That's right. It's not all like it is.
Right. And Canada is shut down. Still, them to us, right? And they don't really want us coming, and they don't want us coming to them.
Still.
So, but we're expecting to see a lot of Canadians. Actually, the state is putting a lot of money into that market so that once it does open up, they're stopping in every little tiny town in.
Where are they spending their money?
Right.
Canadian money.
Right.
In Canada.
Right.
I would guess.
But the borders, the border cities, like Buffalo.
Some of them are really suffering from that.
Yeah.
Some of them have been really
They
suffering.
depend on that Canadian travel coming over.
Right.
Even business. Even business travel, right? Like it's constant.
Stop. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So no, the 4th of July fireworks have been a little bit impacted, but there are towns that are doing it.
Saugerty's doing it. I understand.
Town of Lloyd is doing it.
Town of Lloyd is?
Okay, and so is Plattekill. So
interesting.
We've got some towns that were able to do it, and that leaves out the ones that everybody always thinks about, right? New Paltz used to do a great big one at the fairgrounds, and Kingston, of course.
Kingston had a very
would always do a big one.
Ulster County Fair, yes.
Ulster County Fair is back. It's on, and everybody is so excited. And maybe I could bring in. Well, it'll actually be the fair will be happening actually at my next visit, first week in August. Yeah. They've lined up some acts. I understand one of the acts that they have is somebody who now you knew, right, Guy? You knew one of those acts.
The name of the band is Sass & Brass.
Yeah, that was it. You knew.
I think
you
it's
knew
Eddie
them.
Flick's band, and his daughter is the lead singer.
guitar player.
He has one. It's his band, and his daughter's singing lead. He's a great guitar player. His daughter's singing lead. I know Tommy Porto's on sax. I think Kim Nicholas on trumpet. He
was a music teacher in Highland. Both my boys took music, in Highland.
Oh, really?
Eddie Flick, sure.
Yes, yeah, yep. He's a great teacher. Just
great guitar player as well.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to the fair being back and all the animals out there and, going to the 4-H booth and getting milkshakes. And so make sure that, you plan your time to do that. And, it was really hard on the fair to have nothing out there.
Right, that's right.
And they actually, the fair is run by the Ulster County Ag Society. It's not actually run by the county.
Ulster County, right.
And so the Ag Society relies on the events that take place out there for their income. And Tony, right? There's been nothing. I mean, your Rotary does one of the biggest events out there.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, it was a year ago, right? They were dumping milk. They couldn't get it out to distributors. They're dumping. It's been rough.
It's crazy.
It affected everything. Everything.
Yeah.
So we're excited for the Ulster County Fair to come back. And then, who will be my next guest next month is I'm going to bring Mark Casapoli, who's the Director of Veterans Affairs, because the county is this is as much as I can. I'm going to preview something for you. The county is sponsoring a 9/11 commemoration. It's 20 years. This September.
Oh, right. It's a big deal.
Can you imagine? It's been 20
years.
Oh, can you imagine? So the county is going to be sponsoring an event at the fairground that honors the service, that honors those who responded.
That's great.
And those that were lost. And it's going to be a really nice event. And they are, working to book some talent, and they're hoping for some major talent. So hopefully when Mark comes, he'll have something great to share with you guys. But it's going to be like a really nice event from 4 to 6 p.m. with music and food, and people who were actually there will have time in between the acts to take the stage and talk about what their experience was.
And where is this?
This is going to be at the Ulster County Fairgrounds, and it's going to be on September 11th. And so the thought here is it's going to be a little bit later in the afternoon. People can come. They're going to be food trucks there, hear a little music, and kind of like let us make that promise, keep that promise that was made, right? That we would never forget what happened. So that's that. So that's that event.
So I'm looking at the 7-day average for COVID cases in Ulster County.
Mm-hmm.
1.
That's awesome.
1.
Like I said, it's over. I'm only kidding.
2 cases. 1.
I'm only kidding.
How the hell did that happen? like that so quickly.
Well, so we've done a really good job vaccinating people.
We have.
Yeah.
And
Are you mad at that person?
No, I'm stunned that it's one.
We've done a good job vaccinating people. They still have the mass vaccination site. Moving to, over at SUNY Ulster. They took it from the fairgrounds, moved it to SUNY Ulster. And, and more outlets, I guess you would call it, are able to give the shot.
Hannaford, because I got the monoclonal antibodies way back when, I had to wait 90 days for my second shot. So I recently, over the last 3 weeks, just got it at Hannaford. First I went to frozen food, shopped, did what I needed.
Is that where it is, in the frozen food section?
They have the COVID shots in the no, that's not true.
Okay.
They have it in the pharmacy.
Of course.
But you can go and shop, keep all your stuff, fill out a paper, they stick you, and you can go right through the checkout lane and shop.
There's no waiting time. You just go. They don't make you sit for a while.
No,
I don't.
You must have read this. So they think that people like you who've had the antibodies and now are going to do the vaccination thing will never have to get another shot. They think that you're going to, you will have.
I glow in the dark now.
And strangely, after all that, now for the first time, you're losing your voice.
Yeah, well, that's because that was my Rotary gig of just yapping.
56 speeches in 50 days or something like that.
6 hours. Yeah.
Right.
So, no, we were talking earlier, around the grandson with croup,
That's what it is.
That's your nickname for your grandson, Croup?
No, it's definitely what it is, because I took care of my grandkids and one of them had croup. I sounded like that for two weeks.
So that's contagious?
I think it's a virus, right, or something that you could.
Don't say the V word.
All right.
Listen, what do you mean you guess? You were in the medical profession. You're sitting here with us in a closed room.
I check insurances. I didn't never. Leanne
so your concern is not will I get it from you? Is am I covered?
He's worried about how many people are there to take care of everybody.
Correct.
That's what he's worried. That's what he's worried about.
Speaking about proper staffing, in one of our bigger destination businesses here in Ulster County, they typically get staff from Eastern Europe for the summer.
Yeah,
that's not happening.
Not happening, and so it's just been unbelievably difficult to keep their operations to the level they want to be, and then they had additional cleaning crews and. It's been a huge challenge, and that's the tourism business in our county.
So it's still super challenging. You know why? Because we were joking, right? That one case that we have, and but people are coming from different parts of the state and even the country to come here.
Right.
So they have different exposure levels or different experience with how many people are vaccinated, and so these businesses have to make everybody comfortable, right?
Yep.
So the enhanced cleaning protocols, that may be something that we see moving forward. Like that could be one of the changes.
Again, of staffing to do that.
By the way, you can't do that remote. You can't.
No, you can't.
I listen to
Forget what
Elliott.
they call it, high touch or something. Basically, it's a doorknob washer, polisher.
Right.
How's that pay?
Pretty good.
Get a job for little Croup Marmo to do that, maybe?
Yeah.
Listen, there is a restaurant in Woodstock that pays their dishwashers $20 an hour. You know why? Because they need them.
Yeah, that's right.
And so
wages are just going up. They're ratcheting up. If someone calls, I mentioned this earlier, someone calls and says, we'd like to pay $13 or $14 an hour, I'm saying, oh, no. You're not going to find anybody for that.
Do you say that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I would just tell them no.
And these are for what type of jobs?
Almost anything,
just
I
about
think.
anything.
Right.
Some warehouse jobs, could be some customer service jobs.
Yeah.
So are they then raising the wages? Is that what you said earlier?
They have no choice. And
right.
then we have people say, whatever we need to pay, we'll pay.
They try to entice them with benefits?
That's right.
Just tell me what I need to pay to get staff. That's what they say.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, to get staff and to keep them, which is
they're two different issues.
What I'm hearing, right?
All right.
Because the minute, so you might be able to hire somebody at $15 an hour to wash dishes, but the minute that their best friend is getting $18 an hour to wash dishes, bye. So yeah.
Nursing homes paying premium during this summer because they can't. the question, they can't get staff, so they're paying premium, another $3, $4, $5 an hour.
Has that always been difficult for them to staff?
Typically, but it's worse now. It's much worse now.
Well, I can see that.
The question is what happens in September, and I know you used to be on the wage side of this.
Yeah. Well, actually, I just was looking at these numbers, so I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah. So,
no, that's
my
great.
point is, come September,
great discussion.
The federal unemployment stops.
Mm-hmm.
Now is the perfect time to get a job because employers are ratcheting up wages.
Mm-hmm. Right. There's not a glut of applicants, obviously.
Right. Come September. So supply and demand issue, right? Very low supply, high demand. Come September, when folks say, okay, the unemployment's over, I have to come back to the workforce, more people in the workplace.
Sure.
Right?
The seasonal work is ending. The summer work is ending.
Wages are going to maybe drop back down. Maybe. We'll see.
For new hires.
For new hires,
I agree with you.
They're going to go back down to 14.
Is that a difficult proposition when you drop the wages then to keep the people that people you have keep their wage, right?
Correct.
So you're going to have someone looking for a job that's next to them offering them less money than the people that are there?
I totally agree with you.
Function, timing,
now's the time to get a job.
Demand.
If you've been on the sidelines, now is definitely the time to jump in there. Right. But interestingly too, Tony, you know what? I just heard a statistic that it was a stunning number. There are way more young people, teenagers in our workforce this summer than there have
that
been
makes sense.
That is interesting.
in the last 8 years.
And why is that?
I think it's because
let's say the older workers are either on unemployment, out of the workforce,
right.
not taking themselves out. So the younger folks have said, you know what, there's an opportunity here, or their parents
this
have
is
said,
their first jobs,
an opportunity here.
Right.
Go out and get a job.
Go get a job. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And businesses are desperate for workers.
Right.
So they're going to actually take that 16-year-old, where before, a 16-year-old walks into a restaurant and says, I'm looking for a summer job. And they're like, good luck. Get in line behind these 20-year-olds who all want a job here. Now they're like, yes. Come, we need you. So that is super interesting. But to your point about that cycle, I looked at the unemployment numbers that came out this week, and right now we're missing about 4,400 people out of our labor market. What?
Okay, because it was 5,300. Last one I saw 5,300 on unemployment insurance last month. Now you're saying that
I'm saying you can look at the unemployment. So the unemployment rate has dropped 4.6%. But what you really need to look at is participation rate. Mm-hmm, that really tells you
people that are
how
putting
many
themselves
people,
out there.
Yeah, and also and how many people actually we have overall that are of work age.
Right.
And do the math between them, because that's really the labor
force.
Numbers.
That's right.
So
4,400 in the workplace would make a huge difference in tourism.
Oh my God!
Every sector, the credit unions, the banks.
Sure.
I mean, it's just
it affects everything.
So it's a huge crisis that not a lot of people talk about. Well, people that I speak to talk about it all the time, because between unemployment insurance, child care, the ability for remote work, there's just a scarce amount of people.
People are talking about it. They don't realize that's what they're talking about. The other day, certainly not mention the name, a new restaurant, we called and tried to get an order in for breakfast. Forget it. Nobody can answer the phone. And people complain, well, nobody's answering the phone. It's staffing. It's just like anything else. They're probably, the same person is probably making the egg sandwich to try and answer the phone.
Right.
That's
exactly right.
I could tell you how many times I've had discussions with restaurant owners saying, I have to close this day or that day, this shift or that shift, because I don't have workers. These are all local restaurants. People that have been in the business for years saying, yeah, I could be doing a lot better, but I don't have the staff.
Tony, that is so interesting, because I know two people who are friends of mine that own retail shops. One's a florist. One owns like a specialty retail shop. They both have 2 outlets. In the last week, they've said, we're looking at closing one because we just can't staff it. Not because we're not doing good business, but we can't get anybody to work. Holy moly.
Yeah, what is going on?
What is going on here that you can't find anybody that we can't find anybody to work? It's crazy.
And you started the day with that conversation, right?
Yeah. It's so frustrating.
And you believe that a lot of it is just people that don't don't want to work. They would prefer to stay home.
Yeah, I spoke to somebody the other day saying, "Oh yeah, it's the summertime. I'm happy to get my $800."
Did you really?
I did. I was no. This is the person said to me, and this is a professional, and I'm saying you are just missing the boat. She said, "It's the summertime. I'm happy to be sitting
Listen,
home."
don't do an impression. Somebody may recognize
person?
from the impression. Yeah, from the impression.
I don't want to give her up. I don't want to give her up.
Give us a hint. Who's she wearing? What shoes is she wearing? Is she a stiletto heel girl?
Yeah, I can't divulge that. That'll further.
Great. Was she sitting in a pool when she said that?
No.
That's what I want to know.
No, and I said, you get your tail back.
Does she have COVID?
She does not.
She's the one person.
She's the one person that had COVID. No, that's not true.
No.
Nor did she have the croup.
Poor little croup. What a terrible nickname for your grandkid that is, Croup. It's stuck with that moniker for life, Croup Marmo.
Oh, that's so funny.
Grew up in East Kingston. Need a nickname.
We have to have one. Croup is probably not taken either. It's probably available as a nickname. He won't be like Little Croup. He'll just be Croup.
Oh, my God.
His son will be Little Croup.
Yeah.
Thanks
so
to
you're
you.
optimistic, despite the labor issue and workforce. People are. There's a churn going on, right?
I am concerned about the workforce issue. The other problem that we have, Tony, if you think about it, is this pandemic pushed a lot of older workers who still liked their job. They liked having something to do every day. It's pushed them out. They're like, that's it. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. This is crazy. Yeah. I'm done. And we do not have a bench.
Yeah.
There's no bench behind us. And that's where the problem is. I mean, if you think about like past cycles like this, right, Tony, there's generally been a bench behind waiting to fill in.
Yeah.
Now there isn't. I think did I share with you guys the stunning statistic? I'm sure I did, that 20% of all millennials have quit a job to go on vacation. That's been studied.
I've seen
20% of all millennials have quit a job so they can go on vacation.
And that's not a pandemic-related thing.
Where's my bench?
I've seen this. I've seen this. I had someone work for me when I was running a call center that said it's spring break, and I said, "Well, you're out of vacation." "No, I know. I got to go." I said, "You can't just leave." "No, it's okay. I'll find something when I get back." And it's like, listen, there'll be another spring break next year. Don't you need to have a job? "Well, I'll worry about that when I get back." And that was
one of the major restaurant owners. Same thing. This is a server made, and because people are given generous tips, she made a bunch of money, and she went to the owner, said, "I'm leaving for the summer because I made enough money. I'm going to go travel, do something else." And he said, "What? You just leave in the middle of the busiest season?"
Yeah.
And this is a restaurant owner that's.
See, now the difference is he's weighing it like an adult. And that person is thinking, well, what better time to leave when I don't have money? I have a lot of money.
I have a lot of cash, and I'm going to split.
That's right.
But to Tony's point, come fall, when you've got more of these people, when school's back in full time,
right?
And childcare is not so much an issue anymore, and we're done with seasonal higher ups and all this other stuff.
Right.
It's going to be a lot more difficult for the person who's been out a year and a half without a job to get back in. That's when it's almost impossible to put somebody back in a job. And they may find themselves starting even at a lower level than they were at previously. What's our advice to everybody?
Yes, the government's got to do their part and stop giving a lot of money away. I still see stuff in the papers about this and news, another stimulus check coming out. How about going back to work? There's your stimulus. I understand maybe in certain markets, maybe, New York City, that's coming back, but these metropolitan areas where businesses have just not reopened, I can get that for a little bit, but all of them are migrating north anyway. A lot of these folks are migrating north. There's plenty of jobs to be had in Hudson Valley.
Yeah, absolutely. And to the point of New York City, that job market, mark my words, 8 months from now, 9 months, is going to be so robust.
Yeah, it's going to be booming
and
again.
It's going to be right back where it was, and people are going to be. It's just that right now there's still some reluctance.
6 months from now, I'm going to be interested to hear our conversation.
Yeah.
I have a very quick, interesting story about, you brought up the stimulus checks. I was talking to Tony Lindsay, lead singer for Santana for 25 years, born and raised in Kingston, actually. He used the 2 stimulus checks because he's a professional musician. He tours the world. Mm-hmm. and he produced an album. One of the songs is doing very well on the charts, and he said it's kind of produced by Uncle Sam. I mean, that's what I do. That's what I use the money for. And he was able to do it because he got things at a great price during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people were doing it.
Opportunistic.
So there's, yeah.
Good
All right,
for him.
we're coming to the end. Thank you, Lisa Berger, Ulster
Nice
County
to see you
Tourism
guys.
Director, Guy Greco. Always fun, always something.
Always, yeah,
Checking
I'm
out
always
your shoes
something.
on the way out. And Lawrence, thank you. Everybody else, go out there doing random act of kindness for somebody.
Yes.
Go make somebody feel good. Random act of kindness. Pay for their coffee. Don't buy them a house necessarily. But
Well, you can if you want.
You can if you want.
And if you run into little Croup
Something
Marmo,
simple.
tell him you heard about him here first.
Exactly. All right. Peace and love out there, okay?
Yep.
Take it away.